Welcome to SlamCast, where we chat with creatives about their process and how they navigate the grind of promoting themselves. We're your hosts, and I'm Bria.
I'm Neil. We're both studio technicians and producers here at Slam Academy, a music production school based out of Northeast Minneapolis.
And today we are here with Adam Bohanan, Twin Cities-based musician who frequently performs in New York City and tours around the country. Adam was also a semi-finalist on season 26 of The Voice, Team Reba.
Team Reba.
Sound effects, crowd cheering.
Yeah. That's where you cut in. Yeah, you cut in the crowd like right there. Just going,
I got you on that.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Welcome in, man.
Hey, great to be here. Great to be here.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out with us today.
I'm glad to. It's it's a cool studio, cool space. I love y'all. So I'm ready to get into it. Yeah.
Yeah, we've known you for a couple of years now.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Met you through good old Sociable Cider Works open mic scene.
The open mic scene. It's funny because I got my start in the open mic scene in New York.
Yeah.
And moving here, I felt like when I moved here and had to like start from scratch, going to the open mic scene was my way of like basically doing the whole thing again. And,
starting from scratch.
Yeah.
Like going back to high school, but you already knew kind of what to do.
Yeah, right. It's kind of like, it is exactly like that. It's like going back to high school but having all the answers to all the tests.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. JT is responsible for a lot of the relationships in my life personally.
Yeah.
When did you move back here from New York?
Well, I moved here from New York August of 2020.
Ooh.
Yeah. So like we basically didn't leave the house for the first year of us moving here.
Mm-hmm.
And then once the pandemic funding ran out, I got a job as a musician with a wedding band.
Nice.
And then I started like getting into the music scene, and I met Alec, Coffee Break Entertainment.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And then he was like, "Oh, let's go to this open mic at Sociable." And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely."
Mm-hmm.
Checked it out. Loved it. I met some really great people there.
Mm-hmm.
And then got the ball rolling with the the original music thing out here, which was nice.
Oh, awesome. So you started making original tunes when you moved out here?
I was making original music out in New York for like years, but I meant like just getting into the original music scene more than, because like when I moved here and started working, I was working as a wedding band singer, so it's like all covers, like and
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Were you like were you the lead singer of the wedding band?
Well, the bands that I work for, it's basically like big like group band companies. So like there's like all the musicians in the Twin Cities basically work for like a group of bands.
Interesting.
And the configuration of the band is different every time you show up. So it's like sometimes I get the call, sometimes somebody else gets the call, and it's basically whoever they like most or whoever's available that day.
Interesting.
That's interesting. I didn't know there was like an underground wedding band get together or.
I wouldn't say it's so much underground. Actually, like most of the musicians in town are a part of it. It's just the way that you supplement your income with, like you have to. I mean, see, it's my full-time job. So, if you'll know a lot of them, if you were at a wedding and that had a live band, and you've also been to Bunkers on a Sunday night, then you've probably met
really
all of the musicians that are going to be at that wedding.
I was just talking to somebody about that as a way of like income, because I had no idea that even existed, and they're like, "Have you ever looked into wedding singing?" And I was like, "Nope."
Actually, my friend who I met on the show, Frankie Torres, who's also from the Twin Cities, she does, because so like there are a lot of wedding bands in the Twin Cities, but there's also like cover bands that also do weddings, which is a whole separate animal.
Yes.
And so Frankie Torres does that. She does like her band will sometimes do weddings as well.
Okay.
And and obviously now the price is a little higher for her band, but
Right.
you know, it's very funny.
What do they say? Like,
Yesterday's price is
going
not
up.
today's price. Yeah.
Price is going up.
Yeah. Never say no without a number.
Yeah. Okay. Well, like, I want to get into like all of the recent stuff
Sure,
that you've been doing. You were just on The Voice, which is so cool. But before we get into that, I'm just gonna like hold off just a little bit longer because I want to like hear about your upbringing and how you got started into music and like where it all started. Baby Adam, if you may.
Where it all started, that's a tough question because I couldn't tell you. Like my mom was a violinist, my dad was a jazz guitarist, so I've been in the peripheral of music my whole life. But I started like really singing when I was like young in Israel. When my mom moved to Israel when I was I think I want to say like 4 or 5, and then we lived there, and then I would always sing for my mom. I'd sing Israeli songs for my mom, like some like Israeli, like the national anthem, and like some Abba Shana Abba, and like some other like Israeli songs. Cool. And then when I moved to England, I got really into like singing for my mom, which I sang. I used to sing like what she enjoyed. I would sing her whatever she liked, which was like Carole King or James Taylor, Elvis, the Beatles, that sort of stuff.
Cool.
And then as I got older and got like into what I wanted to sing, I realized that I didn't want. I mean, like that all that music's great, but I wanted to sing something that was more me, which was more R&B.
Yeah.
And so I started singing like Music Soul Child, Jaheim, D'Angelo, that sort of stuff. And then when I was in secondary school in England, I studied music, and I like started writing music. I got into all of that. And as I grew older and like left school, I actually took a big break from music for about 10 years. Yeah. And then when I got back into music, I started doing, as I said, I started doing the open mic in New York. It was called Cafe Vivaldi. And a lot of people from the show, from The Voice, were actually like used to go to that open mic. So like, at least 5 or 6 of us were on The Voice and also used to go to Cafe Vivaldi.
So you knew them before, or just like in passing?
No, I knew them. They're close
cool.
friends. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So like once every like couple of years, somebody from the Cafe Vivaldi crew was like going on The Voice.
Okay.
And so like it was my turn this year, I guess.
Or maybe we'll just say the Sociable and Green Room crew now.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We'll get that going. We'll start getting people. Well, actually, there's 4 of us from the Twin Cities this year.
Oh, cool.
That we're on The Voice this year.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Represent.
Little burp. But yeah, it was and then yeah, like I started writing more original music, and then I got in with a guitarist out there, Dylan Charles was his name, and we created a band together called On the Sun, and that band released we just had our 10-year anniversary for our original like first album, which was named On the Sun.
Cool.
By On the Sun. And that was in 2014. And then like maybe a year later, I started working with a wedding band out there, and I got into wedding band music. And so I was doing both of those things while also bartending.
Sure.
And then then the pandemic hit, and I moved out here and started working on my own original music, my own solo stuff. And I was still doing the wedding band stuff. So, and then I got on The Voice, and here we are.
Nice.
It's the journey of my life, mostly. There's a lot of twists and turns that I didn't mention, but yeah, that's mostly it.
Sure. So when was your first show that you performed besides open mic? How old were you?
When was my first ever show?
Yeah.
Ooh. If we're talking about my first ever non like school concert show.
Sure.
I did one show that my when I was in secondary school, my headmistress hired my band. I actually had two bands that played at her house. One was one was like my band called the Bohanan Boogie Band, and it was like mostly like soul and stuff.
Yeah.
And then one was a band that I made with two other friends from the school, and it was just like this. It was like an emo band, it was really hilarious because they were so different from each other, and I fronted both of them. So, but
how old were you?
I was 17. I want to say 17, probably.
Cool.
It was the first ever like official gig that I did. Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
At your headmistress's house?
Yeah.
Cool.
So they had
two bands.
The headmistress's house was on the. So I went to. My wife likes to joke that I went to Hogwarts. The school that I went to was like a boarding school in England.
Oh.
And so the headmistress's house, like most of the teachers' houses, were either on the school premises or near the school premises. And the headmistress's house was like this huge house, like on school premises with like a giant yard. And so we played in her yard, and it was
so cool.
It
was very cool. There's a lot of. I'm not going to talk about it right now because in case like this goes viral or something. But like yeah, I had some issues with some of the teachers of that school. But yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Did you have to go for the whole like till you were a senior to that school?
Sorry.
Did you move back? Did you have to finish out your whole high school, or what they would call high school in England?
Secondary school. Yeah.
Secondary school?
Yeah.
That's sweet. And then from how long after that did you move to America?
I moved to America after that, like 2 years. 2 years after that, yeah. Nice. I traveled around America when I first moved here, and with intentions of going back to England, and I never did. But yeah.
Suck it, England. Just kidding.
I didn't say that.
Just kidding.
I'm not gonna say that. But
I'll cut it.
No, you can leave that in. That's hilarious. But I didn't say that. I love all of my fans everywhere, always. But no, I traveled around. I did a gap year and then just never went back. And yeah, then I just took a huge break from music, which sucked.
Do you mind you ask what were you doing then? Did you get an office job?
No. Okay. So it was very funny because I had the choice. I remember very vividly. I had the choice between two jobs. It was either working as a sales associate at Best Buy, and getting a job at Dave & Buster's as a server.
Okay.
And it was like a real fork in the road situation for me. And I went with I got both jobs. I had the option to choose. And I feel like my life would have been completely different if I went with a Best Buy job. But I went with the Dave & Buster's job. And I was a server for 20 years.
Okay, at Dave & Buster's?
No. I was a server at Dave & Buster's for like 6 years.
Okay.
And then I worked at I jumped from spot to spot. I worked at Hard Rock Cafe for a little while. I worked at a bar in New York called Barcelona Bar, which is like a shot bar. I worked at a bar like a lot of bars in New York. I worked at a restaurant called Papa's Burger for a little while, which was a burger joint. I worked a lot of different restaurant jobs.
Sure.
And the reason I did that was because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and this was an easy, quick money. And it's one of those things like in secondary school, like they're trying to, like the boarding school that I went to, they're trying to churn out like doctors, lawyers, politicians is what they're trying to like make into. They're trying to like mold those kids because it's an expensive school. All the parents want to see good results. All my friends are either like doctors, lawyers, accountants, or
Sure.
politicians at this point.
Grown-ups.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
And And they told me when I was in school, they were like, you can't be a musician because it's not a profitable endeavor. You won't be able to do it. It's really hard to like make it unless you're like really, really popular. And I was like, okay, so I guess I got to figure something else out. And then they don't. But when they tell you not to do stuff, but when they tell you that, they don't tell you that if you are a musician in your heart, that's all you can do, you know? So I was a musician to my core. And so I had to figure out that I couldn't do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So I took 10 years out to like figure out that I needed to do what I wanted to do to begin with. So yeah, that's why I was doing that for so long. And I kept doing it after because it was still easy money and music, and I didn't want to be too starving of an artist, you know what I mean?
It helps pay the bills for a little while.
Yeah. We were touring, my band On the Sun were touring a lot, and the tours that we went on were not super profitable. They didn't start getting profitable until right before the pandemic, actually. But they weren't super profitable. But so like we would come home and work to pay for the tour that we had just gone on, and the next tour we're about to go on.
Right.
So like we were just like going on tour, working for like, we're actually working like day and night when you're on tour, and then coming home and then working again to pay for the work that you did. Basically, it was really rough, but you know, it was a really fun time. I mean, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Like those touring years were really fun.
Yeah, and you traveled internationally with that band.
Technically, yes. I mean, like we went to Mexico, so that's international.
Okay.
But yeah, we didn't like go to Europe or anything.
Sure.
But we had planned to possibly go to Europe, but we never made it out there. I have a lot of family and friends out there, so I was like hoping to get us out there. But it is also like really expensive to like take a band to a different country. But as I understand it, Europe's amazing for music because they just appreciate it out there.
Don't they like pay for your stay basically and like your food?
They pay for everything out there. Like they really like when you get set in Europe, like they really like pay for you.
Yeah,
that's awesome. They like art.
Yeah, they enjoy art, and I'm not going to say that America doesn't enjoy art. I'm just going to say that Europe does. And they pay for it.
Right.
America wants you to be a starving artist. America like wants you to starve to do your art.
They need you to work at Dave & Buster's. They need people to serve those tables.
See, in Europe, they want you to be a successful artist so that you can give them more art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why they have EDM on the radio.
What?
In Europe, like in England, they have like actual EDM radio stations. They don't have that in America.
Like, they have a bunch of different radio stations in
more
Europe,
expressive stations
versus here. Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet. I have yet to leave the country, so one day.
Yeah.
One day.
You should. It's great.
I would love to, but the money thing is also
100%.
It's a part. So one day.
Yeah, just start saving, put a little away. Yeah. You know, I feel like everyone should travel. I think traveling is the best thing that anybody can do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They can't take away experiences.
No, that's true. I mean, they can, but
oh no.
But we won't say how. That's
some Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind type stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even know what you just said, but yes.
Really? You've never seen Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind?
No.
Oh my God, that's great.
So
great movie.
It's a movie?
Yeah.
Okay. When I re-listen to this episode, I will mark that in my movies to watch folder in my notes app.
Please do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to know like how does somebody get on The Voice? Like, what was the process like?
How do I get on The Voice?
No. I'm just saying, like, I'm curious about like
what's the process?
Do you have to audition and send in tapes and stuff?
So so there's a few avenues of getting on the show.
Yeah.
The main way is to audition. There are a few different audition processes. So or processes, however one says it. So you do the cattle call auditions where like different cities have like the the auditions where you show up and you do the thing. I did that like I want to say like 15 years ago or whatever, however long ago it was.
Oh dang.
Whenever the first season was, I did the cattle call auditions, and that was not fun.
Yeah.
It doesn't look fun.
No, it's not. And then there are also like now because of the pandemic, there's a lot of remote auditions, which is great. So like you have like, I mean, it's they started doing it a little bit before the pandemic, but then the pandemic really like bumped it up to, turned it up to 11. So you have if you follow the voice casting Instagram, you can see when their auditions are, and you can like check that out. There are some auditions that the way that I got into it was I did an open mic in New York years ago, and I it was a Voice official open mic.
Okay.
And this was like pre-pandemic. The Voice had like open mics in LA, Chicago, Nashville, and New York. And you could come in, you could sign up, and you could do like, and there were like, I think over the course of like 5 or so hours, there were like 4 featured artists, and I had some friends who were on the show, as I said, and so like I asked to be in this featured artist thing on the open mic, and so I went in there. I played. The band was amazing. The band actually, like, if you've watched any of the Tiny Desks, a lot of those band members play in the bands and the Tiny Desks. It's really great.
Sweet.
Like, really
cool.
incredible musicians.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And I went up there. They had my songs ready. We played them together on the stage, and people were like one of the host of the open mic videotaped me and sent my video of me auditioning to the producers of the show.
Cool.
Yeah, and they don't do these open mics anymore, which sucks, but which sucks for everybody else, but it was good for me. But so I got called in to do an audition. I didn't play my guitar, which is why I think I didn't get it then, which is like it was like 6 years ago or so. And so I didn't get I think that's why I didn't get called to do it, but nobody told me why. They weren't like, this is what you should have done, A, B, Z. Like, I know I did a good job singing, but I didn't know like exactly what I needed to do.
Sure.
Right. But then the producer sent me a message saying like, really enjoyed you. Sorry, we're not picking you this time. I was like, cool. And then the pandemic hit, moved out here, and my career was like I had an upward motion with my band in New York, but then, as we were talking about earlier, I had moved to a different city and had to start all over again.
Right.
And it's really hard to do that. And so I decided I need to try and give myself a big, huge bump somehow. And the way for me to do that in my head was go on The Voice, right?
Sure.
And so I sent an email to the producer because I had their email, and I was like, "Can I audition again?" And they were like, "Yeah, send in because they're doing remote auditions now. Send in 3 videos, and we'll see what we can do." And I sent in 3 videos, and I later got the call, and I am on the show. That was it.
Oh, that's cool.
It was great.
That is really awesome.
There are a lot of happy accidents. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
well, it's funny because like the I didn't know that I was going to be on the show. I auditioned in I want to say like October of
24?
Of 2023.
Oh, a year ago.
Yeah. So like October 2023, and then I didn't get the call until like 4 months later or something like that. I October, November, December, January, February. Yeah, something like 4 months later.
Sure.
I wasn't.
Really?
I did. That's when I found out, I think. I was working under the impression that it wasn't going to happen. Like, didn't get any information about anything. So I was just like going through my life as if it's not happening. And then I suddenly got the call and I was like, oh, okay. This is happening. Yeah.
Did it give you a time frame for like when you might have to take off of work and stuff? And do you have to fly yourself out there?
They gave us a time frame. They flew us out. They took care of us while we were out there. But
That's cool.
they gave us a time frame, but it was basically like half the year. They were like, you'll be there from, I think it was like June until December.
Oh. For recording and stuff?
Yeah. But because they don't know how far you're going to make it, or like everything's a lot of it's pre-recorded. So they don't know how far you're going to make it. They don't know like what, like whose team you're going to be on, and different teams stay at different times, whatever. So they gave us a really big time frame and just said, be available that whole time. And so I'm a full-time musician, and I had to, a lot of these wedding bands got a little upset because I canceled last minute. I also was supposed to be opening up for, this is really, really sad actually. I was supposed to be opening up for Vanessa Carlton. In like Rochester.
I'm sorry, I don't know who that is off the top of my head.
You don't know who Vanessa Carlton is?
Maybe if I heard her music.
You want to
oh my
cut
God,
that out.
what?
You want to cut that out.
We'll cut it out.
I'm really bad with names of titles of movies. I'm sorry, but that's really fucking cool.
Yeah, so I was supposed to be opening up for Vanessa Carlton, and I had to cancel that gig, and I hope that the team in Rochester aren't really upset at me for that. But I couldn't say why I was, canceling this gig. Because it was right at a point where I wasn't sure if I was going to go back or not, I wasn't sure if I was going to make it to the next level. And yeah, it was really kind of sad. But I did make it further. Obviously, I got to be a semi-finalist, so that was fun. And there's a lot. I wish that I opened for Vanessa Carlton, because that would have been a cool local thing that I could have done. But also, I played on stage with Sting, and
so cool.
You're on a national stage.
I was on a national stage, right? I can't turn that back. So yeah.
Sacrifice for sacrifice.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Have you had any opportunity? I know it's right after, but have you had any opportunities unfold since your performance on The Voice?
You know what? I have not.
Oh,
it's actually kind of sad. I'm working on it. It's more of a vibe than it is anything. Like now, I walk around town. People recognize me and they're like, say hi or whatever.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it is fun. And I get people respond to my emails more now when I'm like,
sure.
Hey, this is me.
Of The Voice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's cool. And you also have really cool footage of yourself singing.
I got
with
great
a crazy
footage.
Band.
Yeah. And so it's more of a vibe than it is an actual response. So far nobody's coming at me giving me opportunities.
Yeah.
But I have a lot more opportunities that I can reach for myself. Yeah.
Sure. That makes sense. I mean, it's like a huge building block on your resume, I feel.
For sure. Yeah.
And yeah, it's so cool to see somebody that just on the stage of The Voice talking to Reba and stuff.
I know, right? Yeah.
Sure.
So cool.
Was Reba really nice in private?
Yeah, she's absolutely incredible.
Cool.
She's just as fun as you imagine, exactly like her characters on television,
cool.
really, really funny and sassy and and just
nice.
Really a sweet human being. Yeah,
cool.
Absolutely.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was all in LA? You filmed that?
That was in LA, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. We stayed there for a long time, and I got to know the town pretty well, actually. I mean, I've been out there before. I have some friends out there. We went out to some shows,
sure,
which was a lot of fun. And then I had to people were like, "Why are you here?" And I'm like, I don't know why I'm here.
So you couldn't tell anybody you were.
Why are we all here?
Why are we all here? Did you try to break into the open mic scene out in LA?
So no, I didn't, just because we weren't allowed to perform in LA because we weren't supposed to be there.
Oh,
I see.
So so if you're from LA, like the people from LA, we're allowed to perform or whatever.
yeah.
But we're not supposed to be there. So like nobody's supposed to know who we are, what we are, So we
Like, why are all these singers out in LA right now?
right. But after me and two other contestants, me and Christina Eagle and Jan Dan. After we were in the top 8, we got cut, and then there's top 5.
Mhm.
So we got cut, and immediately we went out and sang karaoke. Like, and I remember it was very funny because they like I sang all my songs on TV and whatever, and there's like a bunch of threads and whatever. There's Reddit, there's Facebook, there's like official online like forums and whatnot about like The Voice. So, like we're celebrities or whatever. And we went out, we did karaoke, and I sang Pony. and I posted it on my Instagram.
Yep.
And the whole world flipped out. They're like, how is he singing better at karaoke than he ever did on television? And I'm like, bro, like that's messed up, like. And also, like, I can't sing Pony on The Voice. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not something that you can do, and that just fits my voice really nicely. So I don't know. Yeah.
What do you do?
Funny,
what do you do?
dude.
Right? Exactly. So it was very funny though. I got a lot of love and anger for that because like, you should have sung that before. We would have voted for you.
Oh my gosh.
It's like that. I would have known, man.
Yeah.
What do you do?
That's awesome. We said that we saw that you're recording an EP. It's coming out here pretty cool, and you're crowdfunding it. How's that been going?
So I did crowdfund it. I did a crowdfunding campaign. I didn't crowdfund the EP because I did a crowdfunding campaign which is paying for basically half of it.
That's cool.
It's really cool. It's really expensive to pay for the rest of it. But yeah, the EP is coming out pretty slowly. I also have a lot of like thank yous and gifts and whatnot to send to everybody for donating.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's coming out pretty slowly, but it should be out by March.
Mm-hmm.
And I will be releasing the first single off of the EP on January 10th.
Cool.
Exciting.
I know, it's very exciting. And I'm gonna be releasing one every month until the EP comes out. I also need to like press it to vinyl, so it's gonna be a whole thing. But
wow,
it's basically like at this point it's 90% done. My producer, who's also the drummer in the band, P. James Johnson, he wants to add some things. I won't spoil it for you, but he wants to add some stuff on there. Again, but he wants to add some stuff on there, so I have to wait a little bit to release like the other things. But the single is done. We're gonna release that. Honestly, the only reason it's not available right now is because there's some art issues that I need to resolve.
Tighten up the album art.
Album art, right? Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So once the album art is set, I'm gonna post that, and it's gonna be available. And I've been promoting it, and I've been saying coming soon because I haven't officially said January 10th yet, just because if something falls back and I'm like, oh no,
sure.
So
well, you
January
heard it
10th
here
is my
first,
goal.
SlamCast.
Yeah, just heard it here first.
Unless it doesn't come January 10th, we'll beep it.
January
or
We got you.
beep 10th. That way you could do it February 10th too if you need.
Yeah, but that's very restricting. It has to come out on the 10th.
Beep beep.
Oh, but like it's funny because this is another thing you can beep out in case. But the next single is going to be February 13th.
Okay.
And I had planned this for a while. I planned February 13th is going to be the next single. It is what it is. And then somebody reached out to me. I won't say his name. Cancel that.
I can be
Somebody reached out to me and said, "Do you want to play Turf Club?"
Nice.
And I was like, "Sure, yeah, I'll play Turf Club." And I was like, "What's the date?" And it was like February 13th. So that lined up really nicely with the release of my next single. So I will be doing a show, which is also going to be a single release on February the 13th. And the song I'm going to be releasing is called Mom Jeans. You heard it here first.
Mom Jeans.
Love that.
And it's going to be like, it's all about like, loving somebody the way that they are and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's coming out the day before Valentine's Day. So that's all fun. Yeah.
Love that.
And you can play it at a Valentine's show too.
I mean, yeah, right, exactly. I get to play it.
But that's awesome. That's really cool. So with your release, are you promoting it based mainly on Instagram, or how do you like promoting your how are you promoting this EP right now?
So yeah, I mostly focus on Instagram. Like, people have different focuses. I don't know what's going to happen with the government and their
Clock taking.
Yeah, exactly. The TikTok is the TikTok clock is ticking. I don't know.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Love that.
So I don't know what's going to happen with that. So I am mostly focused on Instagram because I know I've been working on that for a long time, and that's
still pretty solid.
It's it's got a solid foundation, and it also allows me, like, I post on Instagram, it auto posts on Facebook, so it's like easy.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to build up the Instagram following mostly. I for the amount of TikTok videos that I've posted and the amount of time I've put into TikTok, I have way more TikTok followers than I would have imagined. I literally,
cool.
I have like 3,000, and before the show I had like 200 or something.
Sweet.
And I literally did nothing. I just like accepted collabs from the show, and then I'm like,
so start building the audience.
Yeah. So I mean, if the TikTok thing doesn't end, which I hope it doesn't, because like
free
a lot of artists are working their whole lives off of there.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't like end, then I will I'll start focusing more there on TikTok, and I'm mildly focusing on there every so often. I'll post a video or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, mainly Instagram is where my focus is.
We noticed that you had an Instagram post beep happen. Is that a way for you to like maintain staying consistent with it?
Oh yeah, do you mean my alarm?
Yeah, you had an Instagram alarm.
Yeah, so like I have to be consistent with it. Like, if you look up any ways of like building your following, I actually I'll start with this. So my guitarist in my band, his name is Mike Salo. Shout out to Mike. He's a pretty big deal. He started off, when I met him, he had like 10,000 followers on Instagram, and I was like, "Hey, Mike, post more." And he was like, "Yeah, maybe." And I was like, "Yeah, like these videos that you do, like he does these like tutorial videos."
Yeah.
And he's like, and they're like really short. They're like 15 seconds or whatever. It's like, post 2 or 3 of those a day or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, "Yeah, I'll do that. I'm gonna try to do that." And so he started doing that. And then like 4 months later, he came back to me. He was like, because we did a show together. 4 months later, he comes back and he's like, "Hey, thanks for saying that, because I started with 10,000 followers and now I have 100,000 followers."
Whoa.
Yeah. And now he has like 130,000 followers. But like it's one of those things where if you remain consistent,
right,
it'll build up. It's one of those things that will happen. And honestly, if you give people content that they want, that is actually like good, and people it keeps people engaged, they'll follow you, and that leads to, actually having people at your shows, which is like the main thing that I really am focused on. I'm not, I mean, I love studio work. I really love doing studio work. I think it's really fun. And I'm down to, if anybody's watching right now, reach out. I'll do some studio work. But my main love is live performance. So I like to tour. I like to do shows. I like to, perform. And so that's really why I want to build up a following, is more just to be able to perform and fill the room and pay my bills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really fun.
That's really cool.
So what do you grab from creatively then when you're like looking to post on Instagram and like promote yourself? Because there's a creative aspect to all of that stuff too. How do you find the consistent creative force behind all of that, the side of social media?
So my main focus is creatively is like my music, right? So I take whatever I'm working on and try and post about that. Like either like if I have a new song, the new song I'm coming out with is Open Your Heart, I'll do a couple of videos of me walking around town singing the song, and I actually or I'll ask friends to come to like sing this, like listen to the song and sing along to it or something, and post that.
Yeah.
And when I'm not doing that, I like to go to see shows. So I'll post about going to see shows, because that's like, honestly, that's authentic. I'm really bad at doing anything like fake. You know what I mean?
That's really great.
I just can't. It's just like it's not fun for me, and I'm not good at doing the fake thing. You know?
Yeah.
So like I enjoy going to shows. I'll post about going to shows. I enjoy going out. I enjoy getting like dressed cute,
Right,
not
yeah.
today. I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't know we were filming. But not like I like to get dressed all cute. And so like I'll sometimes do videos where like, ooh, this is me getting dressed cute for the show, or like this is me going to this show.
Yeah.
And this is like me hanging with a friend. And like this is another thing, like posting I really do enjoy going out for coffee with friends. So, and if we're friends, reach out to me. I'll go out to coffee with you. But yeah, I like to go out to coffee with friends, and I just take a picture and hang with my friends, and like post that picture or whatever. That's mainly how I create content. I know that reels are, viewed more or whatever, and like there are certain things that you need to do. I just like to post what I enjoy posting.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
I'll do just me going out, hanging with friends, me going out to shows, or just information, or like not information, or like videos about my actual like creative content that I actually have going. Yeah. That's basically what I do. Yeah.
Cool. So we've touched on the creativity about like social media. Can you elaborate on your process of creating a song or writing music?
Yeah, sure. It's funny because like I have different types of songs, and for different types of songs I have different creative processes.
Okay.
So like I have a Star Trek R&B album that I've worked on. I have like 6, maybe 7 songs that I've not recorded quite yet, but I have them ready to go.
I remember you saying something about that at Sociable.
Yeah.
A while back.
Yeah, because like one of the songs has been done for a really long time.
Sure.
And I loved it so much, I was like, I'm gonna write a whole album.
Yeah.
And so the way that I do that is I will pick a subject within the Star Trek universe. I'll write down a bunch of stuff about it, and then I'll get into the creative process of like cherry picking what I want to say, and like writing it down, and then like creating like a melody and a track to it. I got all the burps today.
Little burps.
But yeah, when I'm being creative, when I'm actually like working on something, when I'm letting it flow freely, I'll just sit down with a guitar on my couch or wherever and just play a bunch of chords.
Okay.
And whatever I feel comfortable with at that very moment is where I'll take the song, and then I'll take the song. And I do have a long note in my notes app of just song ideas, and it's so long. And one of my goals actually this year is to empty that out. Basically, is to like go through all that and just like write these songs. So that's going to be a big goal for this year.
Wow.
Keep an eye out. Yeah, and I also have like in my memos, I have like a bunch of like written beginnings to songs or whatever. And sometimes I'll just be like walking down the street and I'll hum something or like have like a little beat that I like.
Walking
and I'll
down the
record
street.
it.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Literally, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like if you're in the streets of New York, and if you've seen me walking down the streets, you probably heard one of my older songs because I've just, like when I came up with there's a song we do, Go Well, with my band out in New York, and it's like, this ain't gonna go well. And in my head, I was just I remember specifically now just like walking down in Queens, just like singing that, walking to the subway station. This ain't gonna go well. And I do remember somebody like, I do this thing where I'm like singing at the top of my voice, and then somebody will walk by and I'm like, and then I'll like watch them walk by, and then as they get like halfway down the block, I'm like, this ain't gonna go, like as loud as I can.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm like constantly trying to like think of new songs and whatnot. So the creative process is like a bunch of different there's a bunch of different versions of it. I think honestly, for me, I do my best writing when I'm like riding my bike or like between you and me, like on the toilet.
Okay.
When I'm just like sitting there and I'm like thinking, yeah, let me just sing this song, or like in the bathroom or whatever, like in shower or whatever.
Yeah.
When I get like a moment where I'm not, because you're in the bathroom, you're riding your bike, you're not like, the world isn't interfering in your process. Like,
yeah, there's no distractions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
So like, yeah, that's really what it, for me, like being completely secluded
Yeah.
is a way for me to be more creative. I have a song on my first album called My Door, which I wrote about my roommate leaving.
Mhm.
It kind of sounds like sweet and about a partner, but it's actually about my roommate leaving.
Mhm.
And the way he had left is he didn't tell us anything was going on, and like I was knocking on his door. We needed rent.
Yeah.
And I opened the door, and he's moved all of his stuff out. He's gone. And I was like, oh, that sucks. That really sucks. So I took a chair, I put it in the middle of his room, his empty room.
Mhm.
I took my guitar in, and I closed the door, and I started like writing this song. And nobody knew I was in there. There were 4 of us total. Nobody knew I was in there, and nobody ever disturbed this roommate. So like, that's why we didn't even know he moved out. But so I was just sitting there, and I was writing this song, and I wrote this song because I had complete solitude.
Sure.
And yeah, so I feel like that's really how I am most focused and most able to write, is when I have complete and utter solitude. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. I've heard like riding bikes and running from people before.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, and also like the exercise, like the physical blood moving through your veins, I feel just makes your brain work smoother.
I agree. Like gets your blood rushing, gets you. I think there's a measure of passion that is involved in writing, and passion and like once you get your blood boiling, you get your passion going, and I think that really helps with writing.
Yeah, that's cool. You said one of your goals for 2025 was to go through your old songs. I'm curious if you have any other New Year's resolutions, since we're at that time of the year.
I will tell you. Yeah, sure, absolutely. I will tell you my main New Year's goals this year. My New Year's, and I hate saying them out loud because I do this thing where I'm very like, adamant about my New Year's resolutions.
You don't have to say them out loud, but
no, I will.
You can
I will. I'm
refuse
going to
the
say them. I'm
question.
going to say them
Okay.
so you can hold me accountable.
Okay. All right.
But I'm very strict with my New Year's resolutions. That's why for the last few years I just haven't said any. I haven't been like, no, I'm just not going to do them.
Yeah.
But this year I am going to lose some weight. That's the big focus of mine, just because I want to be more healthy and fit. And if I'm going to be doing these tours that I'm planning on doing,
Sure.
I need to be able to like have longevity. You know, you can't go on tour. I mean, you can if you want to, but you can't really go on tour and be tired. It's really, really hard, and it ruins your voice. And it's really so like I'm gonna get more focused on like losing weight and getting more healthy.
Sure.
And obviously anyone can be healthy no matter their size. I'm just saying, like, for me personally, I want to be able to do certain things that I can't currently do.
Yeah. And I mean, like as a vocalist too, like cardio is like a huge thing for your lungs need to be so healthy in order to belt those notes that you do. So, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. The other thing is like, right, I'm going to work really hard on emptying out my my voice memos and my voice and my notes app of any upcoming new songs. So I'm gonna try. I'm not like I can't say that I'm gonna empty out my entire like you don't understand. It's a really long.
I can't even imagine.
It's a really long note. I have voice memos from 2014.
You will never have to write another song ever again.
Honestly, like if I just went by the songs that I have on there, like the song ideas that I have on there, I could write 1,000 songs right now.
Yeah.
So I just need like I'm not like it's literally. I was going through it the other day. I was talking to somebody about the notes app that I have with the songs, and I was like, and I was scrolling, and I kept scrolling, and I was like, and they were like, does this end? I was like, yeah, it ends. And it was like, yeah, no, it ends. I promise. And it was like, it's so long. It's so long. So I'm gonna try my best this year to write a bunch of new songs that I have on my notes app and my voice memos. So like empty that out. And I intend on one of my biggest goals for this year is to plan way ahead, which I can't give anyone. I know you're probably. I've done a bunch of interviews. I know that this is going to come up. What is your advice for somebody else? You have it written down, don't you? You do. I know you do.
It might be the last bullet point here.
Well, I mean, this is not my main piece of advice. This is not my main piece. Yeah, right. I know.
I love that.
This is not my main piece of advice, but I will say that this is a huge piece of advice that I wish that somebody had told me when I first got into music. Is like plan a year ahead of time. I've planned tours, and every single time I started planning a tour, especially when you're planning a tour for like spring, you need to plan a spring tour in spring of the year before, because October comes around and it starts slowing down, like booking, like all over the country, booking starts slowing down in October. It comes to a dead stop in November, and it doesn't start up again until like mid-January. And if you haven't booked your spring tour before October, it's just gonna be exponentially harder the longer
you're doing it in January.
Right. Crazy. So I'm gonna start planning my goal is to start planning a year in advance. Like I'm gonna start planning tours and shows for like beginning of next year. I'm going to start planning it for the end of the year, or the beginning of the year after.
Super smart.
Yeah. So that's not the advice that I have. We'll get into that when you ask me the question.
Yeah, okay.
That's some advice. That
is some very important advice that I suggest that people should do.
It makes me want to go home and look at my planner right away.
For real, like
I should buy a 2026 planner right now.
You should absolutely.
I'm panicking.
Should. If you intend on doing like a lot of shows, if you intend on booking shows and having a good like following and making sure like every one of these shows is like full and you have enough time to promote these shows, and you have enough
Right.
time to like build a following for these shows, then I would suggest looking at 2026 right now. And the other thing I was going to say about that is like now is the time when you're still in the momentum of the holiday season to book and plan for next holiday season. Because what I'm doing right now is I am working on and / writing some new holiday music that I plan to take and do a bunch of shows in the holiday season next year.
Smart.
And honestly, those holiday shows, they get booked so far in advance.
Sure.
So, and if you want to do, if you're like me and you want to do a holiday show, and I'm going to focus a lot on Hanukkah, then these theaters, these bigger theaters will actually like really like book you, and they'll like really want to have, especially like when you have a niche. I'm not saying Hanukkah's a niche, like there's a bunch of them, but if I've written a bunch of Hanukkah songs and I'm going to play a couple of like Hanukkah songs that aren't mine. If I've written a bunch of songs that are brand new, that are in that niche, theaters will be like, great, we'd love to have something different. We'd love to have something exciting. And they'll want to book that way in advance. Something to think about.
You're a thinker.
I'm a thinker and a stinker.
I like it. That's super smart, and I have a lot of things to do for myself now that you mentioned that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like you want to see my calendar. My calendar is just like,
oh boy.
it's like, yeah, it's complete. Yeah, it's.
Wait, you do everything on your phone like that?
This is, I do it on my Google Calendar
okay.
app, so it's computer phone.
Sweet.
But I also have a booking sheet that I go on, and I just like have like
okay.
stuff that I've planned out for the year.
So
Nice.
organized. We love that here.
You gotta be organized.
Yeah,
You
like,
gotta be organized.
I'm
It's the only way.
curious.
It's so funny because like people think, oh, you're artists, you're freewheeling, you're this and that. It's like, honestly, as musicians, as working musicians, if you don't have an agent, or if you're an indie musician, you don't have somebody doing all this work for you. You don't. You have to be on top of it, like so far on top.
Yeah.
Of it.
It sucks being our own boss.
Yeah.
Because we want to be floaty and free.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're doing all of your booking by yourself? And
I work with some people who do booking.
Okay.
But I don't currently have a dedicated booking agent.
Sure.
The people that I have worked with, I've had people in the past that like I like to work with boutique booking agencies because the amount that I want to be working, the booking agencies find it hard. A lot of booking agencies, not all, but find it hard to book that amount of gigs per year, as well as that pay well enough. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So like I need to be doing a bunch of gigs every year, and I need them to pay a certain amount of money, and I need them to be consistent. And booking agencies, I can't sign on to a booking agency until they're willing to like guarantee me a certain amount per year.
And you're still doing the wedding?
I'm still doing the wedding method.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sweet.
My goal this year is to focus a little less on the wedding band stuff, but it's my job. So
Yeah.
I'm not quitting my job quite yet. No.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good source of income too.
It's a great source of income. Yeah.
It's more money than bussing tables at wherever or serving or bartending.
Yeah,
probably.
honestly, like I also like run sound. I have a sound PA system. So
nice. Okay.
So that pays a lot of money if you can do both.
Yeah.
So if I'm running, if I'm the singer, the MC, the PA guy, if I'm all of those things, the band leader, that can pay like a really good amount of money. So
Sure.
honestly, if I was able to do that for every gig and I was booked twice a week for the year, I would be completely set financially.
Mhm.
Like especially in the Twin Cities, like I would be completely set financially. I don't want to be doing wedding band gigs for the rest of my life. I'd like to focus more on like as I get older to studio work and like
Sure.
still doing some like, band gigs here and there.
Mhm.
But like honestly, for however much longer I can or I'm willing to do it, the PA thing is a huge bump for that. No.
Yeah. I was gonna say we were talking to Carnage, the executioner, about how he got a grant to make his own stage, and like that's now his source of income is because of if you can fund that type of system for yourself, people need that system to perform. So it's always going to be a necessity. It's always going to be an important part of whatever you're performing because you need that to perform anything.
For sure. Yeah.
It's really smart.
Mm-hmm. Someone needs speakers.
I was before we get into like the advice question.
We try to slip that in low key at the end.
I was gonna ask about the other projects that you're working on. I know you work with a couple other bands in New York City. So are you still like actively working with those musicians still?
This is going to come out after we do the show, but I'm going to be doing a show with the band from New York
cool.
on January 5th.
Nice.
So that's
On the Sun, right?
On the Sun, yeah.
Okay.
And the show is under my name, but the band is On the Sun.
Okay.
And yeah, we've released stuff over the years. We released a song called Next Year I think we released that in 2020, maybe 2021.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those songs. It's like about like next year's going to be great because this year sucked,
Yeah.
But we don't talk about how the year sucked. We just talk about how next year is going to be amazing.
Cool.
So yeah, we released that in 2020, I think, and then in 2022 or 21. We released Overexposed, and next year we are emptying the can. Basically, we have a bunch of a lot of unreleased music that we are going to work on in January, and a couple of other times I'll fly out to New York and we'll work on it, and we're going to release all those songs hopefully all those songs in 2025.
Cool.
Maybe beginning of 2026 mostly.
Sure.
But yeah, like the end of January, we're definitely gonna be releasing one song. Possibly sometime in February, we're releasing a song. So like I'm kind of doing my stuff while On the Sun is also releasing music. So
sweet.
So there's that. I'm still gonna be working with a bunch of wedding band stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to connect, want to do some studio work, get in the comments.
Do it.
And yeah, I'm working with a bunch of people. My goal is also to, just try and work with as many musicians this year as I possibly can.
Yeah, that's great.
So, yeah, I just really enjoy working with other people, and I got a bunch of new connections from the show, so I'm going to be able to work with a bunch of people.
Sweet.
From that. And so, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
The year of 2025, the year of Adam Bohanan.
That's right.
Price is going up.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to think about what I said earlier, but yeah, that's really great. We're excited to see you grow more.
Thank you.
Been really happy to see your journey.
It's been a pleasure. It's been like really great, and I honestly just have to thank my fans. No, It's weird to say, but it is funny because now I have. Before it was like I have like people who enjoy my music, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have friends, I have family, I have people who enjoy my music. Now it's like I was on national television. I have fans. Like people will like stop me on the street that I've never met before. I'm like, can I take a picture with you? Like
that's so cool.
Yeah, it's really nice. It actually is really sweet. but yeah, so like I have to thank and I'm calling the people I'm calling my friends and family fans also now. So like everybody's my fans.
Yeah.
Because they're fans of me, even if they support me, they're fans. So like I'm taking them in as fans, and I just appreciate the support from everybody.
Yeah, that's super awesome.
Any more questions?
Should we land the plane?
We're gonna land the plane with a question you've already probably ready for.
He's practiced it in the mirror before he got here, folks.
Well, yeah. Do you have any advice you'd like to give to the audience, the slam community, and people listening?
Any advice? I would have never thought of that question.
Oh,
that's a
crazy,
great question.
Right?
Yes. Okay. So I do have some advice. I say this in a lot of interviews, and I think it's very important, and it's super super important for everyone who is both an indie artist, established artist, or like, freaking Reba, Snoop Dogg, Michael, Gwen, everybody. Community is very important. Community is extremely important. Build your community, have your community, establish a community. If you're building your community around yourself, you look at somebody like Dreon, who's a singer from the Voice. He is an incredible singer, and he's a wildly good performer. And he has what's called Dreon Nation. He built the community around himself, and he's connected with a bunch of people who support him. And like, whether it's building your community, whether it's your fans, like you look at Taylor Swift has Swifties. You look at Beyonce has the Hive. Like you build your community. And it's building your community is not just connecting with other artists. It's connecting with your fans, connecting with your friends, your family. Like make everyone important to you from top to bottom. And I would also say, because your focus is going to be that, build an entourage that can take a lot of the weight off of what you're doing. And also, it all works in tandem. It all works together. You have your entourage, you have your community. Make sure that you present yourself as what you want to be, not who you are. Like, always present yourself. My friend Austin's, who's one of the contestants on the show. We went out to karaoke one time. I was drunk, and we went to karaoke for Gabby's birthday. Gabby is another contestant on the show, and I was really really drunk, and I sang poorly. I sang really bad. I was not very good because I was drunk, and I was just hanging with some friends.
What happens?
And Austin comes up to me and he says, "Man, you're famous. You can't do that. You gotta focus. You gotta get it. You gotta get your stuff together." So like, that, like, you have to present exactly what you want to be. Like, who you are now is who you are later. So if you're, not, if you want to be famous, I'm not saying I'm famous. I'm saying if your goal is to be the next, I'm not even going to go as far as Beyonce, but let's say, like, goal is to be the next Alan Stone, right? You need to be Alan Stone right now. You can't be Alan Stone when it's time to be Alan Stone, because by then it's too late.
Yeah.
You got to focus and do your thing now. And you got to walk into the room like you're Alan Stone. You gotta. I'm using Alan Stone as an example, but like, you gotta walk into the room like you're an established musician. You're you sing whatever you want. Like, that's why, again, you gotta warm up every day. You gotta write songs every day. You gotta be creative every day, because you need to. If somebody asks you to sing a new song, you gotta have it and you gotta sing it.
Sure.
You gotta and that's another reason. Again, it's all part of the community. The reason you have the entourage is to take the weight off of you so you can be creative. And the reason you have the community is to help you fill the rooms, fill the spaces, so that you can pay your entourage, so that they can take the weight off of you so that you can be creative. And so there's a lot of layers to it, but it's mainly just about and it comes down to the baseline for me of community. And I will say this right now. Send that whole thing to me because I need to remember. I need to remember that every day. That's so important. It's honestly so important. And I really have said this on most interviews. Community is like the most important thing that I think that builds you up to be a better musician. Because you don't got time to be creative unless you have the support system, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you don't have time to be creative, you're not a musician, you know?
Right.
Because you're not doing anything.
You're not making music.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that seems to be a common denominator between guests that we have on the show and just in slam community in general. Is just we focus a lot on community, and that's how it's always been since ancient times. And I think that's how we progress as a community in general anyways, is just focusing on the people we surround ourselves with.
Agreed. And you're saying how we progress. And I think that being a part of somebody else's community and being I'm not saying like I'm the head of a community, but like being the head of a community, your job is to uplift everybody else in your community.
Yeah.
So like if you have fans who are like trying to be musicians, and like you know who does this really well, and I'm just gonna say it, Snoop.
Mm-hmm.
Snoop does this really well because he has people working for him who are musicians.
Yeah.
They're incredible musicians. And they're like just part of the community. Like they're part of his entourage. They're always there. And they're not like doing anything that, they wouldn't want to be doing. It's like a lot of fun to work for Snoop. Snoop's a great dude.
Yeah.
Way better than you could even imagine. Right.
I'm sure.
But like he uplifts everybody in his community.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody you look at Jeremy Belote and Christina Eagle, who are in his top two for the Voice.
Mm-hmm.
Like he had them come to his to Death Row, and just like wear a bunch of clothes, and like he sends them stuff all the time, and he supports them.
Yeah.
Even after the show, even after like everything's done, they're in his community. They're part of his crew.
Yeah.
And he uplifts them.
I mean, he's Snoop Dogg for a reason.
He's Snoop Dogg for a reason.
So
100%.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you got like the inside scoop on like some of the biggest stars that have come out of the A-list culture or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool that, you see it from the ground up, basically.
Yeah.
Like you've seen all aspects of the music industry now. Maybe not all of the aspects, but like a lot more than what the average Joe would see.
For sure. Yeah.
That's really cool that you have that insight. And thank you for sharing
thank you.
with our community.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got to build each other up.
Join my community.
Yeah.
Join his community. Adam Bohanan.
You would be a Bohaner.
Take a hand from Adam
Bohan man? No.
We'll get there. There'll be a nation.
Bohan Nation. No, I can't take Dreon's thing. But no, I need to come up with a name for my crew, for my community. But I just like my fans and my friends and my family and my supporters. So yeah,
that's lovely.
All. Yeah,
we're happy to be a part of it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm glad to have y'all on board.
Thank you.
We got you.
I'm preaching the good word of Adam Bohanan.
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the SlamCast.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, we'll link your information in the bio. People can find you.
Yeah.
Reach out.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. Well, have a good rest of your day, SlamCast. And thank you so much, Adam. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for watching SlamCast. Wasn't that a fun episode?
Want to become a member at Slam Academy? Go to slamacademy.com for more information.
Thanks for watching. Bye.